Hi, everyone. Can you all hear me? We've had such internet problems that I'm beginning to think that this is it's a topic that the universe doesn't want me to talk about. So this topic that the universe doesn't want me to talk about is about how you stay positive when things are bleak. And I understand that I'm speaking to a group of people who are probably feeling pretty bleak at the moment. You have either realized that you are going to have to downsize your business or else possibly even close it. And I can't imagine a more sad, depressing situation than that. So I was thinking, my goodness, that is such a big ask. How do you stay positive when things are that bleak? And my goodness, I don't imagine that in actual fact you can. So I was thinking, well, what are the emotions that go through people? So I referred back to Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's work, and she has become almost the benchmark for how people deal with change and loss in particular. And Elizabeth Kubler-Ross says, well, I don't know if you're going to actually be very positive much of the time. So if you are struggling to be positive, don't blame yourself. What Elizabeth Kubler-Ross says is that you go through various stages, and although they are presented nice and sequentially in this series, in this presentation, they are in fact. So if you're having difficulty being positive and your emotions are going backwards and forwards, don't be surprised. It says that no one can see or hear me at the moment. Am I on stage now? Can you hear me now? Can everybody hear me? Putting out a message to the listeners. Yes, you can hear me again. Good. So I hope you heard my introduction talking about how it is extremely hard to be positive when things are bleak. What is most likely to happen is that you will go through a number of stages, and those stages are not nice and neat. They are higgledy-piggledy, and you will feel as though you are on an emotional roller coaster. And I am going to try and give you some tips as to how to survive that roller coaster. Just to take you briefly through these stages, shock is the first. And during shock, you're actually cushioned from the pain. You almost don't believe this is happening. So you shift very quickly into denial. This is the phase when you are probably looking at the figures again and again and again and saying, there must be a different way. There must be something I'm missing. There must be something I'm not looking at. Maybe this isn't actually that bad after all. So denial is really struggling to come to terms with, you know what, I really am going to have to downsize, or I really am going to have to close this business. So that is the period in which you keep on examining the figures and just trying to find some way to keep going the way you have been going. That is the denial period. And the other form of denial sometimes is, I'm okay, I'm cool, I can handle this. It's almost a false sense of confidence, and your friends and your family look at you and they think, I can't believe how she's handling this, or how he is handling this. I can't believe how well he or she is coping with this. That's another form of denial. And then when finally, penetrating through the shock and denial, the realization that there is no way out of this, that's when anger kicks in. Now, people often ask me a lot of questions about anger, because what I say about anger is you can feel it, but you don't need to act it. And one of the questions I get is, my goodness, how do you not act it when you're feeling it? What do you mean when you say don't act it? And I have to acknowledge once again that this is incredibly hard. But acting on your anger is likely to be more destructive and give you additional problems that you have to resolve, as if you haven't already got enough on your plate. The thing with anger is that what has happened, those of you who did high school biology will remember this, natural science, I think they call it these days, they will remember that there is the flight or fight mechanism, and then that is what happens when you are angry. Your body is surging full of adrenaline and cortisol, and in fact there isn't a lot of nice oxygenated blood going to your brain. So you're unable to think, and you do things impulsively, you lash out, you say things that you later regret, you have to go and pick up the pieces afterwards. So it's incredibly important not to get stuck in anger. And am I still with you? Am I back? Michaela's saying I've gone. Let me ask if I'm back. Anybody hear me? Anybody out there? I want to tell you about check the internet connection. My connection has been restored. Good. My goodness. I think this is a roller coaster that I'm being put through myself. So anger. How do you stop yourself being hijacked by anger? The most powerful thing to do, believe it or not, is breathe. Now, hopefully most of you are doing that all the time, but we're talking about taking a deeper and slower breath. And this is really quite miraculous. If you take only five deep oxygenating breaths, and particularly important, try to pause before you take the next in breath. So you take a nice big in breath, you let it out, and then you pause. What happens when you do that? With only 5 breaths, believe it or not, your body is a miracle, and you can get rid of that adrenaline and cortisol. You are also filling your blood with oxygen, and that oxygen goes to the brain, and your good entrepreneurial thinking brain comes back on track again, and you can decide, notwithstanding the emotion that you've just experienced, my goodness, what next? How do I handle this situation? So you need to use breathing, and all you need is 5 oxygenating breaths to dissipate the adrenaline and cortisol. The bargaining stage is an interesting one. What happens with bargaining is that people start to think things like, maybe if